Oh, you said the NDAs aren't gone, right? Yeah, I've seen a lot of people make big assumptions. They're also like rubbing their hands together and they're like, oh, this is going to be so hilarious. They're like, oh, this means the NDAs are gone. It's not exactly how all that works. Also, everyone has an NDA and a contract, which have different things in them that may be relevant to what we can and cannot say, but things aren't just like immediately voided. Also, the company right now has not filed for bankruptcy or anything like that. Like, they're not gone right now. So today, this moment, none of that matters right now anyway. But even then, there may be some things that survive. Okay, if you've ever read a contract and there's a section called survivability or survival, surviving means things where should a company go under, should a contract be terminated, blah, blah, blah. Here are things that still remain true afterward and what those terms are. And they could be anything. They could be anything, but contracts are not a piece of paper that you get to always just fully rip up the moment something goes under. There may still be things in there that you signed and said, yes, even if this goes under, this blah, 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 blah. Just saying that. I don't know what everyone has in their contracts. I'm not gonna tell you even what's in mine specifically, but just know that that could be true for people. That could be on the NDA. That could be part of the contract itself. I don't know, but that is a possibility. So yeah, do not go around and assume that everything is just instantly burned and everyone can say everything. That is not the case. There will also be things that maybe legally you can say, but it's not a good idea for you to do so because you might be still figuring things out on the back end, and maybe saying it gets you out of potential money or something like that, right? There will be reasons why you strategically don't want to say things, even if you technically can. So yeah, just say.
There's stuff I worked on at previous jobs over 6 to 10 years ago that I still can't talk about.
Yeah, and
People
then things,
stare.
right, like NDAs, contracts, whatever, some of them have dates on them, and they're like, you can't say this for a year, you can't say this for 10 years. Some of them are like, you can never say this, and there's no time limit, and you don't know what people have.
As some NDAs should remain in effect, no one should be free to start leaking personal information even after the company goes under.
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the reasons you sign with an agency as a VTuber a lot of the time is because you don't want to sign every little contract for every sponsor and put your name on it. You don't want everyone seeing every little thing. So if you're with an agency, they can sign for you. They hold that info and they can sign for you. So you don't have to have everyone having that on every contract, right? One of the important things with that, you hope that your personal information has whatever legally should happen to it done to it, which is nothing. When you sign with an agency, you hope that they keep all confidential and information confidential. Legally, they're supposed to. You hope. Another reason why people might be being really careful, because we know who is privy, or we think we know who is privy to certain information, and you'd think nothing would happen, but you never know. So another reason why people might want to be really careful right now is because of that. Right? So should something happen, you know, like we know who knows what or who can see what as far as we think we know. So that's why, again, I'm speaking from places of fact and not emotionally. I'm not blowing up in anger or anything crazy. I'm just saying, well, this is what I did. This is what I said. That's it. I'm just laying it out. Okay. Are you guys able to make your own companies to avoid doxing yourselves with lawsuits? Well, usually when you make a company, your name has to be on the company. There are ways to get around that, but typically when you register a company anywhere, someone's name has to be on it. And if it's your own company, then your name is on it. And that's public info on registries. So that makes it very difficult. Even if you make your own company, a person, an individual with a real name has to sign contracts for that company. So that can't be you either. And it's still all possible, but it's a bit complex. It's not as simple as people think. There are multiple levels and layers to making sure that gets done. And it's all doable, but it ends up being costly, which is why most VTubers don't just do that. You know, you have to pay somebody to sign, and you have to have, you know, a whole thing that it's a lot. So that's something I've considered helping people with and that sort of thing. But yeah, because I know a lot about this stuff on that end, at least on like how things work company wise, a lot of friends have been, in a good way, pushing me to maybe actually do something to help people with this. And you know, like I said, I don't think everyone needs like these companies with all these different managers and all these different employees to do all these things, but I've thought about maybe starting something to just address some of those big issues, like not a full agency, but something kind of simple to help with some of these basic functions that people need without fluff. But yeah, I've been exploring that for a long time, actually, not just because of all this. I've just been thinking about like how can I make something for people that's very lightweight, because they don't need all of this extra shit. And the extra shit is what costs a lot of money, gets a lot of other people paid that maybe like we just don't need that. We don't need those hours going to anyone. A lot of people can do their stuff themselves, but like what can I do to help a little? Again, really lightweight, trim the fat. But yeah, I've thought about that a lot, and we'll see what happens. You did mention it before you announced going indie. I've talked about it before I even joined the company, that I wanted to try and like help people with that. For the most part, I just advised friends and didn't actually get involved in like physically doing any of the work with them, but I like doing that kind of stuff. So, you know, we'll see.